Yeah, it was a good time. I think that because we stuck together and we worked together and we weren't thinking of each other as like competitors. It was so
Right.
early in the day. And honestly, that same energy continued through the entire day of
Right.
just women uplifting each other and just trying to like work together to get to the end. And I really think we have this deep respect for each other and we want the best person that day to win, and in our case winning was getting third because Courtney and Katie didn't count, so
Yes. Hello, hello.
Hey everyone, we are back with another Gotta Run podcast.
How you doing?
I'm alright. Getting my training run in. Now I'm ramping up to 5-6 hour runs.
Yeah,
Not easy, especially with these smoke in the air.
exactly. We're suffering from a lot of forest fire smoke in southern Ontario, which is not something I can ever remember in 52 years happening.
You don't remember 50 years ago when you're 2? No?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. It's very difficult to run in, but hey, you gotta get it done.
Well, and also, hello, can you imagine what the people that are living near the fires
Oh gosh,
feel like?
I can't
And
imagine.
the animals and their... Oh, it's terrible.
It is
Yes.
bad news all around.
Sure is.
And what's happening with Gotta Run Racing?
Well, now that it's July, we're in the month of Rainbow Trail Run.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're watching this video, you can see this year's swag has arrived.
Very nice.
It's a very nice hat.
It's a mosaic rainbow.
Yes, our social media followers had 2 color choices to choose from. And this was the one that was voted in by a landslide. And I approve. This is my favorite too. So
Yeah,
if you're going to
that's
run
good.
rainbow, this is what you get.
Looks good. And who's on the podcast today?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but we were glued to YouTube following Western States
Live and uncensored.
last weekend. It was hard to get away from the TV because, quite honestly, it was such an exciting, packed field. And it did not disappoint.
No, it did not. A lot of records were broken right up to the very end.
And the footage was a lot better than it has been in recent years, so kudos to them.
Yep.
It's improved. The one thing that I think would be an easy improvement, and they actually touched on it during the golden hour,
Yep.
was that they were having a hard time reading the bibs once the runners were entering the track.
Right.
And they made a comment that, oh, like, we have so many volunteers, it would be hard-pressed to get one more volunteer to do that. I'm volunteering to stand at the entrance of the track and text Corinne or Dylan or Billy the number of the person coming in.
Or they could just use a mat that they cross over so it registers their laptops of who's coming down the
I
track.
don't understand why there's no mat there.
Yeah, we have it at our races.
And they have it throughout all the 8 stations, obviously.
Obviously.
But seriously, would make a huge improvement because last year, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
they were reading those bib numbers clearer, and you got the whole bio of the runner as they were on the track, and it made it so much more interesting.
Yeah, I remember hearing mine as soon as I got that to the track, that mine
Yeah,
was being
They were starting to say it.
right away.
So I will volunteer to text them with the numbers or walkie-talkie or whatever it takes.
Walkie-talkie.
Okay,
oh my
yes, I
gosh.
know that made me sound old. However, count me in, guys. I'm your girl.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
All right. So, if you're familiar with the Ultra Scene, which I assume you are because you're listening to
Yeah,
us.
who is on the podcast today?
Katie Asmuth,
All right.
the 4th place finisher from this year's Western States. Katie is 37. She hails from California, currently living in Mammoth Lakes with her husband and her 2 young boys. She is a Saucony-sponsored athlete, and she works part-time as a nurse practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
This was her 3rd year in a row running Western.
Always getting in by placing top 10.
That's right. So first year golden ticket, and then 2 years in a row top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And this was her best finish in the one of the toughest women's fields in recent memory.
Yeah.
So we cannot wait to talk to her about that.
And more. Here is Katie coming up.
Hi, Jody and Norm. You guys are so cool.
Oh, thanks.
I reached out to Jenny and was like, Jenny Quilty, because big fan of Jenny and Priscilla. What are you going to talk about? All my favorite Canadians. But and I was like, do you know them? She's like, oh, they're so great. And it was like,
oh, that's so nice to hear.
Anyway.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
And
Happy to be here.
Big congrats on your 4th place finish at Western States this year. How are you feeling?
Yeah. As mentioned, I am feeling like I'm floating. I feel like as if I'm just needing to constantly pinch myself, because it really was not only the best race of my career, but really the best day of my life. I mean, it sounds really cliche. I mean, I told my husband, I'm like, don't worry, honey, like marrying you, giving birth to my children. Okay. Like I've got my priorities straight, but definitely there was some like culmination of a lot of things that day, and somehow it all just fell into place. And, I think the best part of the day was that I was really present all day and just clear-minded. And I never got, this was my 700. I've run a bunch of other ultras and like different distances, but you come to a certain point, and I think a lot of people listening to this will get where you're kind of like a little foggy brained, right? Like you're a little bit of a shell of yourself. And that's like expected. That doesn't scare me. I know that will happen. In this race, it just didn't ever happen. I was totally clear all day. Okay, maybe like the last 6 miles. Okay, but besides that, but even in those last 6 miles, I looked up at the moon and I'm like looking at it and I'm like getting emotional, telling my pacer like, this is so cool, and I'm like racing for 3rd place at Western States under this moon with my best friend. Like it just felt so magical, and I was really able to be a part of the day in a differently than I have in the past. I think, it was a really special day. Usually I try, like I'll put music on to kind of distract myself and try and like disassociate a little bit and just kind of put one foot in front of the other and like focus. And this year it was like, I wanted to have nothing to do with music. I wanted to be so there, so engaged. I wanted to feel everything. I wanted to be a part of the whole day. It was so cool. I don't know how I did that, but I was like a special blessing from the Western States gods. It was very cool. So anyway, really pumped.
I love that.
That's great.
Now, just to get into this year a little bit, obviously after all that you just mentioned, was a tough year to get to the start line. You had 60 feet of snow in Mammoth Lakes. So I can imagine you were ready for whatever was going to be thrown at you that day. Because you'd already lived through all the things, you'd done all the rehab, you'd done all the tough training, you had that snowy winter. You were going to be now faced with snow for how many miles was it in the beginning?
I'd say about the first 20, maybe 15.
Because last year we didn't have any.
Oh, 0. Oh, yeah. It was nuts. Like you're running for hours in the snow. It was fun too. We can get into it, but it was, I'll tell you about my story in the snow. It was very fun.
Sure.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay. So I talked to my coach and I was like, look, I just want to have a good day, So my coach, David Roach, knows what I've been through. He's the one that recommended, it was him and Megan Roach recommended my surgeon on my navicular, like have been with me every, step of the way through all this. And I was like, I just don't want to like destroy myself out there. I mean, not like of course I'm going to destroy myself, but I don't want to be miserable. I just want to enjoy it. Like I want to have fun. And it turns out I run better when I'm having fun, but I will say, so in the top, he's like, listen, I don't care how fast you're going. When you're in the high country, I want you to run with other people.
Yeah.
and he knows that I really gain a lot of energy from other people. Like at aid stations, it just like really hypes me up. Like I'm definitely a people person. And so I got to run with Riley Brady and Meg Morgan and Nancy, and the four of us just had a blast. I mean, we were glissading. We were like, skiing on the snow. We're like both all slipping, like, three at the same time. Like we're just having a blast, and just really lighthearted and feeling very like no pressure. It felt as if I was out with some girlfriends running in the high country in the snow. And honestly, because the four of us were together, we were all navigating together. So if I was alone, I think I would have gotten really frustrated. And actually my teammate, Adam Mary, told me, he's like, I got really frustrated. I got lost. I couldn't find a flag. And it just, especially so early in the race, you kind of get down on yourself when you can't orient, you can't even run what you want to run, So the four of us were all looking for flags, because, of course, there was like some arrows that had been in the snow, but those all got, demolished by the people in front of us. So it was really just us looking for these pink flags everywhere. And we got into the high country. I'm trying to think, maybe it wasn't even that long, because I feel like after I think after like 10 or 12, it was like patchy, but it wasn't like only snow.
Okay.
Anyway, but so basically after that, I was in like the best mood and best place. And I will say during that time, even though it was so early and it was considered a cool year, I was still like loading up my sports bra, my shirt with snow. I was holding on to snowballs. I mean, like would threaten to like, start a snowball fight, but it was really just to keep the palms of my hand very cool, because you're still running and the sun's shining on you, like you can feel it. So yeah, I was really taking care of myself. Even though we were having so much fun, I like knew what was to come and was preparing myself for that. So I fueled really well because we were running a lot slower. That high country section actually ran at 33 minutes slower than the previous year. So, the previous year before I got really bad and like broke my foot, like I was running well. So that's like, it shows it was definitely a lot slower. But anyway, it was a good time. I think that because we stuck together and we worked together and we weren't, thinking of each other as like competitors, it was so early in the day. And honestly, that same energy continued through the entire day of just women uplifting each other and just trying to like work together to get to the end. And I really think we have this deep respect for each other, and we want the best person that day to win. And in our case, winning was getting third because Courtney and Katie didn't count. So Katie shied. So yeah, it was a really, really special day in that way, just like working together with everybody. But yeah, the snow country was part of my favorite of the course. And I even laughed because I was like, you know what? If I eat it now, like this was the best race of my life. Like we're good. Like, because I was having so much fun. And yeah, it felt very much that way all day, where I'm like, if I misstep, if I break or dislocate my shoulder, poor Keely, things like something like that. In my mind, I was like prepared for the downfall. I was like, I kept waiting to spiral. I kept waiting for the low that just never came. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep being happy and not fall. I don't know how I didn't fall, but I didn't fall once. So yeah, it was kind of a miracle out there, but yeah.
I guess the snow cleared up around Robinson.
Yeah, and before that it was before that, because there were patches and like you'd run on snow and then it'd be dirt, but for the first like 10, 12 miles, it was like only snow, and we kind of laughed because we were like slipping and sliding all the time on snow. And then we're like, oh, now we can't fall again. Like those were our falls. We got that out of the way because it didn't hurt to fall in snow.
No, that's true.
Hurt to fall on rocks. Yeah.
That's true.
So, yeah.
So
anyway.
Were you running or leapfrogging all the way up to Forest Hill then, would you say?
Yeah. So after Robinson, that's like that's like my favorite section in the sense that I'm really like, suits my strong suit. So I pushed it there. And let's see, that's when I passed Heather Jackson. Yeah, I guess before that I had run with, like before I hit Robinson, I got to run with Esther Schillig and Leah. And that's when I got to see Priscilla Forgy. Jenny and I had like a solid 6 miles or something together, working together, Jenny Quilty and I. And those two, it was actually really fun because that section, this was before Robinson, but Jenny and Priscilla and I, well, of course, Jenny Quilty paced me last year at Western States. So Jenny and I have a special bond. And then Priscilla and Jenny and I all stayed together in the same house at Western States training camp. So I got to see Priscilla and we had so much fun. It was like so much girl talk just the whole time. We just like laughed and laughed and laughed, and it was the best. Anyway, so I got to run with them right before Robinson. And then once I hit Robinson, I knew that was like my section. And I knew that was the time that I really needed to kind of make up time with the women ahead of me. So yeah, I ran my race then from there to, you know, last chance. And then that descent, I ran with a guy. And then, yeah, headed up to Devil's Thumb. And on that climb to Devil's Thumb is when I saw Taylor Nolan and Emily Hoggett and Keeley and Ida Nilsson. I guess I'd seen Ida a little bit before that. But anyway, so that's when we were like, all right, let's like, I got them. Like once I set them up, we're good.
Yeah.
And then we all worked together until the river, to be honest.
Wow.
And Esther was there too, like she caught up but basically we were all kind of like yo-yoing back and forth, and some are better at descending in flats and some are better at climbing. But really we're all just like in a really good headspace, you know, reminding each of us to like keep drinking, keep eating, you know, that sort of thing. There was one climb like from Michigan to Forest Hill. Esther like yelled back at me because I kind of like let the train go a little bit. And I did it on purpose. Granted, I wasn't like feeling up for the climb. I was like, I'm just going to kind of power hike this climb. But a part of me was like, I need to save myself because I just passed all these women who are super fresh. Like Leah Yingling is fresh. Jenny Quilty looks fantastic. Like Riley Brady's right there. And I was like, in this mindset, I had just been running with these folks and I was imagining the Tour de France and how we're the breakaway and then the Peloton's just going to slowly come and absorb us, you know? So I was preparing for that, you know, like mentally I'm like, I can't, we still have another 50 miles to run, folks, you know, a little less, 45 at that point. So anyways, yeah, by the time I got to Forest Hill, we all kind of basically ran in together. We were maybe like a minute or so apart. And that's when I was like, woo, can't wait. Cause that section is my favorite because it's like all runnable and just like super buttery, fun, just fun terrain. And that's when I passed everybody. And I saw Esther and I got to the river together. And that's when we decided we were going to really work together as moms. And, basically, I didn't see any other racer from the river to the finish line. So it was really just Esther and I. And actually, my pacer, who I'd mentioned, Alyssa St. Laurent, who has paced me to my like deepest levels, she actually had some GI distress. So I turned around and she wasn't there. Whoa. And I was like, oh no. So I was by myself and I was like, all right. So I like catch up to Esther and Helen, her pacer. And they paced me. And I was like, thanks for pacing me, guys. You know, but it was great. We're like sharing ice chips and water. And we're like, I mean, we're running for 3rd place at Western States, but you would never have known, you know, in that case, like just the camaraderie and part. So it was really special until Esther like took off on this really technical climb in the dark. And I was like, all right, I can't hold on. But I tried my best and I was able to hold on for 4th, and I'm really happy with it. It was like, it was a really special day out there. So
when you were going through the aid stations, were you hearing a buzz of what was happening ahead of you with Courtney and Katie about what was happening? Like there's something in the air.
We talk about them. But so we're all together, you know, so we're little chit chat between each other, you know, and we're all like freaking out, like Courtney's going to get it. We hear she's way under course record. And like, you know, we want Courtney to get the course record. This becomes like a massive, like the most historic race ever at Western States if Courtney gets this massive course record. So it was really cool to be a part of the day. Yes. I mean, Courtney wasn't even on my radar. Like I was not ever racing Courtney. Will never race Courtney Dauwalter. I am fine with that. That is not a goal of mine. Yeah, she's like just in a totally different league. And, but it was really cool to be a part of it. I mean, and then we hear that Katie Scheid was also under course record pace and, you know, we're cheering for him. Like, I don't want Katie to blow up. Like like how cool Katie shied for her to put her nose in it, to be trying to compete with Courtney is like really special. And I have major respect for Katie Scheid, and I really hope she gets the attention and love she deserves, because I mean, she broke a course record that had been standing for a long time. And so she had a really good day out there. I think she had some stomach issues towards the end, but she rocked it. So it was cool too. The rest of us were all just fighting for third, and we kind of all knew that, like a little bit takes the pressure off. Nobody's going for the cougar. I mean, God forbid, like, something could have happened to Courtney and Katie. Who knows? But we were really rooting for them not to. That didn't cross my mind. I was like cheering for them the whole time, and they did it, and it was really cool to be a part of. So cool. It's a really amazing time to be running with like this kind of a field right now. It's a cool time in the sport for sure to be a woman.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Well, that's great that you gave us some insight of you and Esther, because we are chatting with her tomorrow. So we're going to be putting some questions that she's not going to know. How did you know about that?
That's right.
But now that you can step back and reflect on this historic day of the 50th year of Western States, and you can honestly tell your kids and your grandkids that I was there. What's your thoughts on that? That I was there?
Probably hasn't sunk in yet.
Yeah.
But it will.
Yeah, I think, well, also it's a little bit of like our sport is small, right? Like this isn't everything, and I think I want my kids to know deeply what this meant to me. And I hope that I inspire them to chase whatever dreams they have. And I don't care what they are, but just to find the thing that makes you tick and really go all in, because it's really fun. And it makes life a whole lot more richer if you really can, put yourself and really commit yourself to something that you care about. So yeah, I will say it's kind of funny. I live in Mammoth Lakes, California, which is a very big endurance town. Like Tim Tollefson lives here, Danny Moreno lives here, Rod Favre lives here. Like we have a lot of really incredible athletes. And anyways, the kids' school teacher, my 8-year-old's teacher, we saw her at the store, and she's like, I saw you boys on TV. And it was amazing because she just was watching the live stream because she's an ultra running fan, and I didn't know that, but she saw my name and she's like, I think that's, Noah, who's in my class's mom. And anyway, so we watched the boys run with me around the track, and she's like, I was crying. And of course my kids think they're so famous because they think they're on TV. And I'm like, well, we're not like, like this is a very small sport, but it's a really big deal for us. So, we're going to celebrate that. And so the kids are they're pretty stoked. I definitely can see that twinkle in their eye about the sport and just really pushing themselves. I think they're proud of me, and that's maybe the goal.
Absolutely it is.
Dude, I can't, what? I gotta say, okay, like, I want to uplift all the women, girl. This is like that's all I want to talk about. But I will say, without my partner, I don't know if I'd be the person I am. So, I think that it's not just women uplifting each other. Like, we need really good partners to be along for the ride. And that's just as important, really. So yeah, I have a lot of strong, like, men in my life also that uplift me and believe in me. So that's really critical too. So I'm trying to raise them also.
Absolutely.
It's
Any other bucket list races? Like, I'm sure you want to try to get back to CCC one day.
Yeah, I haven't raced CCC yet. Supposed to race it last year, but I was in crutches. So yeah, the plan is CCC. Yeah, I did actually just get a letter from UTMB telling me that if I want to be in for UTMB, I'm in for next year. Yeah, there's a little bit. Anyway, I haven't talked it over with my coach, but I'm like, Western States is going to be really hot next year, of course. Like, this was really an anomaly that it was so cool out. So anyways, I was kind of dabbling, like, should I do UTMB instead this year? Because I feel really good right now. And, probably
do, because we'll see you there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running CCC or UTMB. I'm not sure. I probably CCC. I'll probably stick to the plan, but yeah. So basically, I'm running Chamonix this September. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can say hello in person because
that
now
would
we're
be
doing
so
UTMB.
fun. Yes, the kids are coming, and my mom to help out with the kids, which is really fun.
Aw.
And so we're making it a big family affair. It'd be so fun to see each other. Let's do
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Let's
And-
try and make that happen.
Woohoo!
Thank you very much.
That's a wrap. Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
guys.
Katie.
Super
Really
fun.
appreciate
It means a lot to like be able to tell your story. This is really cool. So
Well,
thanks.
it's a great story to tell, and we hope that it continues in such a wonderful upswing.
And you have a lot of fans in Canada.
You sure do.
So come back. Come
Oh man,
back.
I love Canada. Canada destroyed me. I'm like, I don't know. I love Canadians, but I don't know. That one race was rough. Maybe I need to go back and have like a different, maybe more like milder train. You guys are hardcore. Anyways,
Well, we'll see you in Chamonix.
I'll see you in Chamonix. Good.
All right.
Cheers.
you-
Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Bye.
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 All right, that was Katie Asmuth, fresh off her Western States experience.
Each Western States was a little bit different.
Very different. Very different, except she always placed top 10. Now, when she described her day in 2022, breaking her foot, oversalting, which caused, the diarrhea and the throwing up, you would expect her to say, oh, but then I ended up in 25th place. No, she ends up in 10th.
No. You gotta fight. You gotta fight.
She's a fighter, all right.
Gotta get that top 10.
Wow, so impressive.
I just like the camaraderie that happened at Western this year that she said that was different was the fact that all the women were working together
Right.
to get past the snow section.
Yep.
They're having a ball. They're throwing snowballs at each other. And then it was pretty much all coming in together at Forest Hill.
That's crazy.
That would have been amazing to see.
It would have been.
Like 5-6 women running in at the same time.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of cameramen. They can't put a camera on every one of you. That was exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then she knew getting down to the river and then meeting up with Esther.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fight for third, using Esther's pacer. Wow. That's great.
It is great.
That's a great way to finish a race. You didn't realize that's a race. You're just going for a run with the girls.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Can't wait to see what she does at UTMB this year. Whether it's CCC or the full Monty.
Yeah, we can't wait to see that. I can't wait to meet her.
That's right.
Until next time.
Cheers.
Bye.